Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy, master of game grades. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David, how you doing tonight?
Bruce, I'm an Oilers optimist. It is hard to be an Oilers optimist tonight. That was a brutal wake-up call for the Edmonton Oilers, for their fans, coaches, management. They went into Calgary, Bruce, and they got stomped. The game was 9-5 for the Flames, but at even strength, it was 9-2 for the Flames, Calgary Flames, 9-2 at even strength. The grade A shots were a little closer, 20-18 for the Flames, but the 5 alarm chances were 12-8 for the Flames. So that suggests part of this, and we're going to get to this, part of this was goaltending, is what you can say from that, from the closeness of those numbers, and the score was further apart than that. Bruce, we'll just try to stay on track here. we may have assorted rants that erupt like a volcano and then calm down. Two good things, two bad things, and two numbers. What is your? Let's just start with the good thing, even though that's a hard thing to do. What was your good thing?
Oh, okay. Sure. Good thing. Oilers finally solved their special teams woes after losing 2 games this week because they couldn't manage a single power play goal. They were able to muster three power play goals in one game for the first time all year, I'm pretty sure, in just 5 opportunities, with Leon Draisaitl pounding home 2 of them and setting up the third, which was pounded home by Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, his first power play goal of the season. When that went in, I thought, well, maybe they're kind of hanging around here in this game, and Calgary can't pull away on them. So anyway, it was weird. It was 5 power plays to 4, and Edmonton had the first 5 power plays, and Calgary had the last 4. And the refs just they kind of flipped partway through the game, and you knew that it was going to even out a little bit because it invariably does. And the penalty kill somehow came through with doing a pretty decent job, holding Calgary to just 4 shots on 4 power plays, and none of them goals. So a 3-0 win on special teams, that should set the team up for a comfortable win, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and Bruce, beautiful goals in the power play.
Mm-hmm.
All 3 of those goals, like that pass. One of the differences with Nugent-Hopkins is he just seems to find Hyman down low. They seem to work together, when they're working together, suddenly opens up the whole other side of the ice. If it's just always down to Draisaitl, if that's the whole play, put it down to Draisaitl, excuse me, on the right half wall, and he's the setup man. Well, it's kind of hard for him to be the setup man and the trigger man, right? Like to be the goal scorer at the end of it all. And that's what seems to happen when Nuge is out of the lineup. So with him there, they have that going for them. And then on the first goal, that's what we saw. Him just Nuge making that nice little pass down to Hyman, and Hyman making a really, I think this is the second game in the row maybe, where he's made a really nice pass out to Draisaitl. And Draisaitl got on the Mangiapane, good luck covering Leon Draisaitl, with how broad are Leon Draisaitl's shoulders? Like in terms of puck protection, he's got his shoulders are as broad as an aircraft carrier. And there's no, he just got it and just whammed it in the net. And then McDavid's pass, his backhand dart across ice to Nugent-Hopkins was just such a fantastic pass. And then finally we have kind of McDavid and Draisaitl trading passes. The first pass across from Draisaitl to McDavid was such a great pass. It was so hard. It was like a rocket right through, finding the seam. And then McDavid put it back to him and he scored. So this was incredible passing and great play on the power play. So it was kind of exciting. I mean, that really was a highlight of the game.
Oh, yeah. It's pretty easy to pick that as a good thing out of this game, given the other choices.
My good thing, Bruce, is it was still a 1-goal game heading into the third period. And about 2.5 minutes into the third period, there was an absolutely fantastic Oilers attack. Duncan Keith, as he does quite often, got the puck and just fired it so quickly up ice and to McDavid. Just a great breakout pass. McDavid goes in and he puts it over Puljujarvi, who then makes another great pass, setting up Kane. Kane gets off a really, really good shot, and somehow Markstrom saves that one. And that was the game. That save, it turned out, was the game. And it had the feel of that, like, even before Calgary scored, it's like, man, you don't score there. Yeah. That is such a great chance. Mm-hmm. And then Calgary comes right down and scores. They scored 20 seconds later. And
I
just really,
my wife, that's all she wrote right there.
Yeah, you did it. Yeah, and that's how I felt. I think I wrote that in the comment, even before. I don't know if I wrote it before the goal was scored, but that's how I felt about it. That was the game in that moment on our grade A game sheet where we discuss the game back and forth as it's going on. Yeah, so Bruce, that was such a great play, and it would have been, if they had scored, who knows what happens then, you know. It's not like the Oilers deserved a win here, or a point or anything like that, but they were hanging in there, and that was their last, last chance gas, and they just couldn't put it in the net. And full credit to Markstrom. He was the best goalie in the net of the three, and he made a fantastic save.
Yeah, that was a big one when Calgary came down and scored. It wasn't just you and me that figured that was the game. And apparently it was the Edmonton Oilers, because they basically bailed on the third period after that. I thought they were wretched in the third period. They gave up. That was their one grade A shot, was the one Kane couldn't bury. And then the Calgary had 9 in a row down the stretch of this game. And they outshot Edmonton 16-4 in the third period. And I think they may have won 100% of the puck battles. Sure seemed like it. And it was like Edmonton couldn't do anything right, and the crowd was singing "We Want 10,"
I hope that I hope that rings in the Oilers' ears, that "We Want 10." That should be their motto the rest of the year. Mm-hmm. The Oilers. Think about that when you wake up in the morning, the Calgary Flames, crowd singing that chorus, and how bad that felt. Just never forget that, and use that as fuel to be better, to be a better team, a better defensive team. Because this was really a travesty of defensive hockey from the Oilers. Which brings us to our bad things, Bruce. Go ahead.
Yeah, my bad thing is that was a travesty of defensive hockey by the Oilers. I mean, you stole my thunder a little bit, but I'm probably guessing that many in the audience may have seen this one coming. This was as putrid a defensive performance as, honestly, I can remember. In long time, like years, of where they just gave up one 10-bell chance after another. The defense, the forwards were never back. They were outnumbered all the time. I think they gave up 6 odd man rushes in the first period, including the breakaway that tied the game at 1-1 and sort of was the first one that turned things in Calgary's favor. Edmonton had actually scored in the first half minute of the game, and that was their only lead that they had, because Calgary came back with 3, and they went back and forth a bit. But every time Edmonton scored, they'd give one back in right away. And I thought the defense was brutal. It's brutal. Darnell Nurse had a horrible game. Cody Ceci had a horrible game. Evan Bouchard had some absolutely horrible plays. And really, among the defense, there just wasn't anywhere near enough battles won or good decisions made. And the forwards were little to no help on far too many plays, and the goalies were left to their own devices, and they couldn't come up with the saves. I mean, Mikko Koskinen gave in 5 goals on 12 shots, and I was kind of feeling sorry for him because they were either unstoppable drives or else, if he did make a save and his defenseman kicked the rebound into the net. It was that kind of game that whatever could go sideways, it would. And it, I mean, we could go through the 9 goals, David, but I don't know that we have an hour in this podcast that we want to go through goal by goal, the kind of mistakes that went in. But I mean, I'm thinking of one play where Evan Bouchard, I mean, I don't want to single people out. This was a 20-man loss. But this one play where Johnny Gaudreau and Evan Bouchard seemed to be in good position on him in the neutral zone, and they just kind of left Gaudreau to skate past him. And then Calgary generated one shot. The pass came back right through. It's kind of slow. It looked like Bouchard had a fairly easy play to clear the puck, and he was unable to negotiate contact, as Danny Galvin used to say. And then he comically kind of fell down and slid in towards the net while the Calgary forward buried the shot. And it was just, 3 for $1. Like 3 things went horribly wrong for Evan in about 5 seconds there.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
What was he trying to do was the question that I really couldn't answer to my satisfaction. If you can see there's a plan and it just didn't work, that's one thing. But what was the plan in this game? And not just that goal, all game. What was the plan?
What you'll often see, and what I think happened to Bouchard on that play, is once a defenseman makes a first horrible play, as Bouchard did, losing the battle for the puck, at that moment he becomes transfixed on the puck and starts puck watching it, and that's what he did, and then he couldn't block out the pass. Like he could have easily made a good play to block out the pass if that had been his focus, right? If he had been looking to that, take the man, look for the trailer, but he just started puck watching and went right through him. If I was to pick on one, it's the next goal. It comes about 2 minutes later.
Mm-hmm.
And Edmonton's trying to break out. McDavid kind of tips the puck up, and Leon has a chance, and he can't get it, can't stop the pass down low. But Barrie is too deep, and Nurse is too high. So Tyson Barrie is kind of hanging back, and he allows the pass across. And Darnell Nurse is just way out of position, Bruce. He is way out of position, and I think it's Kachuk, if I'm not mistaken, in front of the net. Wide open because Darnell Nurse has decided to join the rush when there really wasn't a rush, and he's abandoned his position. He's in the red light zone, not covering anyone, not blocking a passing lane. And I wrote a blog post this week about his defensive slump. Basing it on our numbers, right? Where for a year and a half, to give him credit, against tough competition in a top pairing role, he was doing okay defensively. I mean, he's not Chris Pronger, but he's pretty darn. He's okay in that role, which is saying something because it's a really hard thing to do, playing the best players on the opposition team game in, game out. But in the last 2 months, Bruce, he's really struggled, and this play kind of typified it because it seems to be it's all about the reads that he's making. He's, I don't know, mentally fatigued, or just in trying to do, like, the typical comment, trying to do too much with Nurse. That's what it seemed like on that play, right? He's trying to join the rush instead of just playing a steady physical defensive game and moving the puck, keeping it simple. He's not. And it's just causing, 30, 40% more mistakes on grade A shots per game than he usually makes. And that's adding up over time. My bad thing this game is the goaltending. And it's not that the goaltenders were horrible on any of the goals against. It's not that there was 9 goals against us, a lot of goals against us. Not that. It's that they didn't make a save. Like they really, you have got to do better. 7 of the 9 goals were on what I call 5 alarm chances. They've got a 33% chance of going in. These are the hardest shots to stop. 7 of the 9 goals. The Flames, as we said before, had 12 such shots, right? So you're expecting, I guess, 4 goals, right? Then they had 8 more grade A shots, so you're expecting a couple more goals. So the expected goals, I think, according to my own calculation, would be about 6 in this game for the Flames. But there were 9. And what you need is what Markstrom gave the team early in the third period. And you need it again and again. If you're going to win a game like this where the other team's really going hot, your goalie's got to come up with a spectacular game. And they didn't come close. They did have really hard shots against them, but there wasn't the big saves that the Edmonton Oilers need. There wasn't the big saves that a team that's going to succeed in the playoffs needs to win these games. So, it's a roller coaster ride with the goalies, because sometimes you start to think, Koskinen's going to get it. And of the 2 goalies, I actually think he didn't look as bad as Smith. I was actually surprised when they pulled him. I didn't think he was up into he hadn't made a save, but maybe it was a bit of a mercy call.
Almost no chance on most of them.
I agree.
To their credit, Calgary, when they did get the chances, they absolutely buried them. One time it's right in under the crossbar stuff. Or like I say, the one time Koskinen did make a save and it went off a nurse's skating in.
Yeah. Johnny Gaudreau was put on a show tonight, man. He was fantastic. That's as strong as I've seen him play in years. Yep. He looked like he would be that player season after season when he first came up, and then he's tapered off. But man, he is playing well. He looked fantastic, and he ate the Oilers alive. He was the best player on the ice by quite a bit, I thought. Anyway, so the Oilers goalies, they didn't get any help. And in the end, Smith started to be his own worst enemy with, bad rebounds and turnovers and mistakes that he made. And being too far back in the net, which seems, again, to be a feature of his game rather than a bug. This is how he plays it. And we know the strategy. It's so if they make a pass, you're more able to get over there and make the save and have longer to see the puck, longer to see the shot. That's how I understand that strategy of being a little further back in the net. But man, there's in the last 2 goals, it just felt like if he had been a little further out, he makes both those saves. So there's a trade-off there, and he didn't seem to work out.
Yeah, the 8-5 goal, which was sort of really the 7-5, and like I say, the Oilers didn't have much after 7-5, but if they'd have got one, maybe they're back in it. But 8-5, there's no chance.
Yeah,
that was it was a decent chance, and it was a decent shot by Michael Backlund, but it wasn't like he didn't perfectly pick the corner. He put it maybe 6 inches inside the post, and Smith was like on the goal line, doing the big lunge across the net, trying to stop it. He didn't get there. And playing deep and lunging is, that's the Mike Smith from 2 years ago. It's nothing like the one that we saw last year that Ken Holland thought he was signing to a 2-year extension last summer. So
yeah, it didn't give me a lot of confidence with Smith. Like, the confidence with Smith has been pretty low all year, and that game didn't help me. And again, Bruce, I don't know. I still think, and many people think this, they should be giving Skinner a call and seeing if that can work. I think they know probably by now. They definitely know what they have in Koskinen, which is a goalie who can help them win some games now and then. And maybe in a rotation can help your team win. Yeah. But they don't really know, and I think they know what they have in Smith, a goalie who's going to struggle to find his form all year. And at this point, it's unlikely that he really starts to fire on all cylinders as the goalie that he was last year. So maybe they're just thinking, we'll just stick with him and keep fingers crossed, and that's our best bet. But is it? Is that their best bet, or is it not to call up the younger? And he's not that young. He's 23. He's got a lot of pro experience. He's had a ton of success this year in the AHL. Sometimes goalies like that, Bruce, catch fire and can help your team win in the playoffs. Is he not the best bet?
Skinner?
Skinner? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's Andy Moog of 1981 at this point.
Yeah.
First of all, you got to get to the playoffs.
Yeah, I hear you.
And yeah, I was starting to feel confident about that. Right now, my confidence has been fairly shattered. The Oilers did not look like an NHL team in that game. They did not defend like an NHL team. And they got blown out by a very good NHL team that just picked them just shredded them into small pieces defensively. And Jay Woodcroft, he was pretty circumspect after the game about the defensive play. And when somebody did try and point the fingers at the goaltending for not making enough saves, and he said, "No, we lost that one as a team. All 20 guys played, and all 20 of us weren't good enough." And that was,
And I would agree with that.
yeah,
That's exactly right. That is
yeah.
exactly. A couple of the lines actually didn't do that bad. I don't know. Like the McDavid line, I don't know if they got scored on, and Nuge's line,
Okay.
they were okay. No, they it was the other lines.
Okay.
Um, I think. Anyway,
Wait till we get to the numbers, David. I've got some.
all right. What is your number, Bruce?
And eye popping. My numbers are all dash figures from tonight's hockey game. These are Oilers minus figures, and these are our top line guys, first pairing guys mostly. Cody Ceci -5 in that game. Zach Hyman -3. Darnell Nurse -4. Leon Draisaitl -4. 4 points and -4. That's pretty hard to do.
His
Of
line
course,
was really bad defensively.
Of course, he got all the three of his points on the power play, so no pluses for those. But that means he got one beauty um, breakaway goal at even strength, so that means he must have been on the ice for 5 goals against. Evander Kane -4, Connor McDavid -4. They all got lit up. Edmonton's top 6 got blown apart. By contrast, Calgary's first line, Goodrow, Kachuk, and Lindholm, that already were like plus minus leaders in the NHL and in the plus 40s, they all went +4 in this game, and they absolutely owned it. And and Edmonton was at 6s and 7s, as the English soccer guys say. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah. I was mistaken. McDavid did make a mistake on a goal against. That's what I was taught.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Goals, yeah, okay.
yeah, I was thinking about who made the mistakes on the goals, but McDavid did actually make one. He allowed a shot uh, into the slot to an open man. Barry allowed the pass
Okay.
in the
Three,
late in the
3-1
first.
goal right after
Yeah,
15 seconds after the 2-1 goal. And the pass went right into the slot.
yeah,
And he pounded that one home. Backlund, he put it right under the crossbar one timer, like just
yeah.
about unstoppable. But it
Well,
was unstoppable because nobody was covering the guy.
yeah, it's a sobering moment for Draisaitl, McDavid, and Nurse. They're the leaders of this team, and they've got to play better. They got outplayed by
Did they?
their uh, by their counterparts on the Calgary Flames.
Well,
Um, so yeah,
David, Draisaitl, and Nurse were all -4, as was Evander Kane. -4. That's Edmonton's top players.
so Bruce, I checked into something. My number is something that you were curious about. So in the second Flames goal, I think, yeah. The Flames come down, Koskinen. There's a bad pinch by Cody Ceci.
Yep.
And then there's a bad read by Nurse himself. He's not in the middle of the ice. He's way over on the side and allows the pass into the middle. And there's a great shot, and Koskinen makes a fantastic save. Just a great save. And so he did make one really great save there. And then it goes in off Nurse's skate, I think. Is that it? Into the net, right into the net. So this is the ninth time that a grade A shot has come to the Oilers net, bouncing off Nurse, and 4 of them have ended up as goals. So that's this season. So I was thinking, like, how have the other players done? Nurse has made 9 such had 9 such miscues. Cece's had 2. Keith's had 1, Bouchard's had 3, and Barry's had 4. So combined, those are the 5 players who have the most ice time, and that's 10 for the other guys combined, and 9 for Nurse. Now, what you could say is Nurse has just had really crap luck, much worse luck than these other guys. And I think that's probably the strongest take from that. I don't think there's something in particular that Darnell Nurse is doing necessarily. Now, you may disagree with that, but I just think this is really a signal of bad luck as much as anything. Interestingly, Bruce, the other players who have had 10, 7 of them, excuse me, not 7, 8 of them have ended up in the net. So Nurse has had 4 of these deflections in front of the net, and 4 of them have gone in. The other players have had 10, and 8 of them have ended up in the net. So it's kind of bad luck. And then sometimes it goes in the net, and sometimes it doesn't, and it's kind of random in terms of both things. Or maybe there is something, that Nurse is doing. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, it sure happens to him a lot. That puck, he's so low close to the net, and the puck comes into the crease and it hits his skate and it goes on net. And I know there's been some really good saves off of plays like that at times.
Yeah.
And, and crucial saves late in games a couple times that goalie somehow came up with a stop. Well, that didn't happen in this one. But all I know is it keeps happening to him, which is why I suggested looking it up in our codes, because we code all these things. And
yeah.
so I'm not at all surprised that he has more by far than anyone else on the team. It just seems he's a puck magnet or something. Usually hits him in the skate. And goes in.
I hope he turns it around. Man, they need Darnell Nurse to bring his A game. They just need that so desperately right now to play like he did at the start of the year. Like to essentially cut the mistakes he's making on grade A shots in half right now, Bruce. That's what they need from him. That's what he's got to do down the stretch here. He's got to figure it out, got to get it together. And I don't know what that's going to take, but maybe receiving a 1 or 2 grade from the Cult of Hockey game grader will be some inspiration.
Well, he got a 2 the last game I graded, the one that they blew in the last 5 minutes against Dallas the other night.
Yeah.
And, and there were specific plays there that he got burned on. Well, tonight he didn't play all that much. He played 19 minutes and 33 seconds. That's the least of the season, I'm pretty sure. He had only one other game below 20 minutes. And I think it was like 1958 or something. So at even strength, he played 15:45. Oilers attempted 11 shots. Calgary attempted 30. And goals were 0-4-4 against, of course. Scoring chances, according to Natural Statistics, 6-17 against. And Darnell himself had 0 shots on net. And he just didn't seem to have much positive impact. Sometimes he has high event games where he makes stuff happen at the good end, or, and less good stuff happens at other times. Well, tonight, there wasn't a lot of good stuff happening. And they split up that pairing, and they put him with Barry quite a bit rather than Ceci, but Ceci kept getting lit up on a different pair.
Oh, geez, he had a rough game. And I see the only 2 plus players were Duncan Keith and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who I think by my eye were probably the best 2 players. I like Keith's game in a lot of ways. So the Oilers defensemen, Nurse, Bouchard, and Ceci, we all tagged so far in preliminary ratings as responsible for 3 goals against each. They made major mistakes on goals against. Kulak and Barry were culprits on 2 goals against each, and Keith just on 1. So, and he was +1. Nuge has come back. He's just flying out there. So,
and we're still discussing the one where it was a 3-on-2, and both Ceci and Nurse backed off and backed off, and the guy just came right into the middle of the slot and fired it into the net.
Well, it was a drop pass to him, and that's and it was kind of a high slot shot. And they have to block the passing lanes. I didn't think there was a heck of a lot they could have done to stop that, other than have a forward maybe back check and catch up and catch the trailer. Would that have helped them?
Yeah, or a goalie making a save would help.
Or a goalie make the save.
Breakdown, but seeing the defense just back in and back in and back in while the guy is closing in and picking his spot and hitting it.
Yeah. I take your point. I think you have a point too. I think it's like one of those coin flip ones. Like I'm a defenseman, so I think, oh, geez, that's such a tough play. Like you're just
Yeah,
hung
it
up
is.
to dry because you got to try to stop the pass, right? You can't go if you the second you lunge towards the guy, he's just going to put it over to the other guy and he's going to score. So you're kind of, what you're trying to do is on an odd man rush is turn the guy with the puck into the shooter and not have him make that dangerous pass. And the goalie takes the shooter, right? That's how it works. Well, the goalie took the shooter and he didn't stop him. So that's my defense of those two characters on that play. Anyway, yeah, just a tough. What a horrible game, Bruce. What a horrible game. Is this like the third act, like the low point of the season, and it's just good from
I
here
don't
on in,
know.
man?
I don't know. I mean, I thought things were starting to turn around. Then this week they went 1-2-1, and they lost a couple of tough ones. One in overtime in Colorado. Looked like Dallas. They were kind of running on fumes a little bit, and they were in position to win, and they let it get away with a couple of
Oh,
egregious blunders in the last
oh,
5 minutes. And tonight they were just making those kind of
oh.
blunders more or less all night long.
And
Like
the win
Calgary
against
was just jailbreaking on them.
yeah, and the win against San Jose was kind of a weird win. Like it was just such a tepid game. Um,
Yeah.
well, we'll see what's next, Bruce. The Oilers, I don't want to make an excuse for them. They have played
Mhm.
a lot of hockey though
Yep.
in the last month or whatever
No doubt.
since the COVID break, that they had there. They've been just going and going and going, and so is Calgary, so is all
They
these
played
teams, so
last
have
night.
all these teams, and here we are. Well, let's see. We got what's how many games left? 16?
Yes.
16 games left. So
Yeah.
it's going to be they're going to 16. It's a lot of games, a lot of
Yeah.
tough games ahead of the Edmonton Oilers, and I look forward to better nights than this one.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess there was. I mean, Leon got a hat trick in this game. We didn't mention that really. Hat trick.
Yeah,
Hat
that's
trick.
right.
Finally got a hat trick. He had like 14 2-goal games or something. He finally got the third one, but nowhere near enough. He could have had a double hat trick, and they still would have come up short. So anyway, I'm going to the game Monday against the Coyotes, and it's my first game in quite a while actually. Uh, and so looking forward to seeing them play live, but hopefully better than this because
I bought it. I hardly ever buy tickets 'cause, we're
got a
busy doing the video review.
mini pack this year.
Yeah, I got the Vegas game coming up in mid-April,
Yeah,
on the Easter weekend. So that's the game I'm going to go to. I'm looking forward to it. My son Jack is in town from Victoria. He's a huge Oilers fan. So and my daughter Belle is somewhat of an Oilers fan. So she loves hockey. So we're all going to go.
excellent.
Alrighty, Bruce.
Speaking of Vegas, they came from a 3-goal deficit today to win. Chicago had them down 3-0 going into the third period, and
Oh,
they couldn't hold the lead, and they lost in overtime. Dadonov, the guy that they got stuck with at the trade deadline, he scored the winner for them in overtime. So come up smelling like a rose like that. But Vancouver won, but Dallas lost because they were playing each other. So that was the only help Oilers got was from Vancouver. And Minnesota won that the Oilers might be in the wild card race, and LA Kings won tonight. And so the Oilers dropped 2 points to basically almost all of the teams that they're in. So tonight was just absolutely terrible, no matter how you slice it, right? I think if you play that rotten of a game, you get a little help on the out of town scoreboard. It doesn't sting so bad. Nope, that didn't happen either. And the
I'm glad
Condors
it's
blew a lead and lost in overtime in the AHL. So
I'm glad it stung. It's good to have these moments in life where things really feel bad because that's a huge fuel to do
hope
better.
so. Hope so. I want to see a whole lot more pride out of this team than I felt like I was seeing in the third period of this game. Like I really did think that they kind of just dropped out of the game down the stretch, and that's more discouraging than anything.
Yeah. Alrighty, Bruce, let's leave it there.
Okay.
Thanks for talking tonight.
I wish we could. I got to write game grades about that thing now. So way
Yeah,
to
good
go.
luck.
Thanks. Thanks. Been on a bit of a losing streak lately. So. Oh well.
It's not your fault. Just like those
No,
pucks
I know.
deflecting it off Darnellers aren't his fault, man.
Right. It's only midnight on Saturday. No fun with that.
Just keep it short. All you have to do, you got 9 things to write about the 9 goals against, and
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Thanks, Bruce.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.